Thank you. How you guys doing? Thanks for coming out. Give me a second here to catch my breath. Thank you. The only time I ever get to catch my breath at these things is when you're applauding, so feel free to applaud as much as you like. It's like a fucking breathe. Anyway, this is my last clinic of the year, of the decade, of the century, and of the millennium. So I'm glad you could be a part of it. Thank you very much. Okay, I've already had my water. I'm okay now. Thanks. Appreciate it. Anyway, I have a lot of things I want to play for you. As you can see, I'm surrounded by a different setup than I normally have. This is my Twisted Sister Pink finish. This is a kit that was supplied for the clinic, but it's a clinic sponsored by the people at Tama and Sabian. I'll talk more about the gear later. I want to do a little more playing right now and continue to warm up. Usually the whole clinic is a warming up process. Usually about 2 hours in, I'm finally warmed up and then it's all over with. But anyway, I'm going to play a song for you now off an album I did 2 years ago, I think, called The Liquid Tension Experiment. Yeah. And for those of you that don't know, although it looks like most of you do, it was an instrumental project that I assembled. Obviously myself and John Petrucci from Dream Theater on guitar. The great Tony Levin on bass and stick and whatever else was lying around the studio. And a keyboard player by the name of Jordan Rudis, who's not only the most incredible musician I've ever seen or played with, but he's also the new member of Dream Theater, as most of you probably know by now. So anyway, the Liquid Tension Experiment albums turned out to be real relevant to the Dream Theater history book, as these two albums that we did were really, the introduction to the new chapter of Dream Theater with Jordan. So these two albums really serve as sort of preludes to the new Dream Theater album that just came out. But anyway, enough of that. I'm going to actually play a track off the first album, a track called Paradigm Shift. Yes. Yeah. want to mention here at the clinic is the gear, and as I mentioned before, it's the clinic is sponsored by Tama and Sabian, and as you can see, this isn't my normal drum setup, although it is very lovely. It is a Tama kit, which I endorse Tama Star Classic drums, and a very, very large kit. But this is, what is this, a Grand Star? But anyway, and these sound awesome too, and I have 4 octavons over here, which are a big part of the setup that I have with Dream Theater, and I actually have 2 octavons on the left as well. But anyway, Tama Star Classics, I've been playing them for many, many years. They're a great, great company, and I actually started with Tama right from the beginning. The very first drum set I bought when I was like 13 years old was a Tama Imperial Star kit, and to this day I still use that kit. That was the kit that I used on both Liquid Tension Experiment albums, as well as the second kit I used for Falling Into Infinity with Dream Theater. So, what is it now? 15, 16, 17 years later, whatever, I'm still beating the hell out of it and still holding up. So, anyway, there you have it. As far as the cymbals go, it's a wide variety of Sabians, everything from small 6-inch splashes all the way up to 20-inch Chinas. And I should mention that next month, the beginning of the new year, I have my own signature line that's coming out through Sabian. It's going to be called the Sabian Max line. And a couple of things that we have in the signature line are these stacks, which I developed. And this is a 10 and 10 stack. This is a 12 and 14 stack. Both of those will be offered in the Max line, and then also we have a small 8 and 8 stack. But these stacks for me were something that I just sort of put together and toyed around with, and I ended up loving the sound of them. They're really quick and trashy, so as you can hear, they're very rhythmic. Anyway, they become a big part of my sound, and a lot of the style and the stuff I'm doing on the new Dream Theater album revolves around these. And like I mentioned, there's also a small 8 and 8 on my left side on my normal kit. So anyway, those 3 sets of stacks will be available, as well as 3 splash cymbals, all of which are in odd sizes, 7, 9, and 11. They're very thin splashes, and anyway, you can look for those, I think, starting next month. So that's what's going on in cymbal land, and as far as sticks go, the good old ProMark 420s, which is my signature stick as well. Right hand with the tip out, and left hand with the butt end out, and the signature right in the middle, so I don't chew it away on either stick. And that's what's going on with gear. But I want to play some more music for you, and what I'm going to do for you now is play something. This is an exclusive. This is an American premiere. I did a clinic tour last month in Europe, so I premiered this there, so I guess that was the world premiere, but this is the first time that anybody in America is hearing this. Basically what this next tune is from a forthcoming album that'll be out, I believe, in March. And this was a project I assembled, yet another side project. The thing was, Liquid Tension Experiment for me was an opportunity to work outside of Dream Theater and work with other musicians. And since Jordan has joined Dream Theater, it's kind of become almost the same band now. So I went off and formed something else. And the guys that I assembled for this project were people I admired more for their songwriting sensibilities, more so than their technical playing abilities. Whereas Liquid Tension is very metal and technical, this new project is more melodic and song-oriented and very retro prog, more like in the vein of like Yes and Genesis and Pink Floyd, or even the Beatles, because all 4 of us are singing, so there's a lot of harmony and stuff like that. Anyway, the guys that are in this project, it's called Transatlantic, and it's myself, it's Neil Morris, who is the singer and keyboard player and songwriter for a band called Spock's Beard. It was one of my favorite bands for the decade. Bass player is Pete Travis from the band Marillion, and the guitar player is the singer, guitar player, songwriter for a Swedish band called the Flower Kings. And like I said, basically we assembled, and the idea was just to put together some some of the masterminds behind today's progressive rock scene and see what we came up with. And that's going to be out in March, but I'm going to give you a little sneak preview here. The first song we wrote ended up being 30 minutes long. So I'm going to play you a little bit of that now. I'm not going to play the whole thing. So I'm going to play you about 13 minutes of it or so. But this is what's going to be the first track on the album, called All of the Above. So here we go. This is from the forthcoming Transatlantic CD. That's your cue. Headphones are cutting in and out. There you go. All right. Thank God this is the last clinic of the millennium. Not enough of this crap. I just want to tour the band. Jesus Christ. Just put me on tour already. All right, take two. I think I'm going to need a little more volume. you like that? That's just the intro. It's another 17 minutes after that. Anyway, the whole album was a lot of fun. It's real proggy. If you guys are progressive rock fans, the whole album is only 5 songs, and it's like 77 minutes or something like that. So you have a 30-minute song and 2 17-minute songs, and it's just a lot of prog on there. And even though a lot of my playing on it is very simple, and some of it is real Nick Mason, Ringo, John Bonham, like just in the pocket groove stuff, there was also an opportunity to do a lot of like Bill Bruford, time signature, kind of old Yes stuff as well. So it's kind of an interesting mixed bag. And like I said, we all did a lot of singing too, which was fun. Anyway, that's going to be out in March. Should I talk or should I play? I'll leave it up to you guys. I'll do a little more playing and then I'll open up the floor for some talking. I want to play another song for you now from the Liquid Tension Experiment. This one is from the second album. And you can feel free to come up when I'm playing. You don't have to be so shy. Anyway, I'm going to play a track off the second album, and this was our first venture into sort of pseudo-Latin sort of feel. This was something that Jordan brought in, and then we ended up twisting it around into something kind of completely different. But it's a track called By Accident. So. for you now, this is my favorite part of the clinic for me, because this is when I get to pay tribute to all of the drummers that inspired me, and so many drummers that I grew up listening to, and even a lot that I didn't grow up listening to. But what I want to do for you here is play through an a cappella drum medley. And what this is supposed to illustrate is the importance of drums, how important they can be melodically, as in addition to also rhythmically. Everybody always talks about the drums being, the rhythmical part of the music, and the hook is always established by, the guitar riff or the vocal melody or whatever. But there are so many songs that the drums are just as important to that hook as any other instrument. And there's so many songs that are recognizable just from the drums. So what I did was I put together a list of 40 or 50 of these songs. I'm sure there's a lot more, but these are the ones that came to my head, and I'm going to play through an a cappella drum medley of them, so it's sort of like a name that tune. So if you know what I'm playing, let me know that you know it, so I'm not here in the dark by myself. You know what I'm playing already?
No, what's a cappella mean?
Without music, basically just gonna play it. It's more of a vocal term, but I'm playing it to the drums here. Anyway, I'm gonna play with that. You're just gonna hear drums only, and it's gonna show you how hopefully you could recognize some of these songs without the other instruments. But anyway, the first 7 or so are all from one drummer in particular, and this guy was one of my biggest influences, and he was the king of the big drum groove, and he created so many memorable drum grooves. So I'm going to start with maybe 6 or 7 of his, and then branch off to many other drummers. So see how many of these you can name. 3 or so.
The end were the best.
Which one?
The ones at the end were the best.
Thank you. me, Ringo, and Mars. I did Twisted Sister in honor of the drum set. Anyway, this is the time of the show that I turn the floor over to you guys, so you have as much to do with the rest of the direction as I do, because I know a lot of times I talk about things that nobody wants to know about, and sometimes I don't talk about things that people do want to know about. So this is the opportunity for you to guide where the rest of the clinic goes. So step right up, don't be shy, just raise your hand, and I'll answer anything you want to know except for why'd you cut your hair. That's off limits, otherwise everything is fair game.
Yeah, I'm an educator as well as a percussionist, and actually I taught you back in '92 at Mansfield when you just started out. And you obviously have a lot of chops and stuff, and I was wondering if you could tell us how where you went to school, who you studied with, what kinds of things you did.
Well, I guess the most formal training I had was at the Berklee College of Music in Boston, and when I graduated high school, I went there in '85, and that's where we formed the band. And it was I met John Petrucci and John Mayung there the second week of school, and the three of us formed the band back in '85 and spent a year writing together and working together. But as far as the academic part goes, my year at Berklee was mainly focusing on the music more so than the drums. My whole focus there wasn't on the drums, it was more on the other things. I was taking classes like ear training, sight singing, arranging, harmony, theory, all those types of classes. And for me, that was the biggest challenge of school, and learning all those things that helped ground me more as a musician than just being a drummer. And I was intrigued by that stuff. I mean, when you go to some place like Berklee, you only get out of it what you put into it, and the people that go there are generally very, very into it. And I was really into it. I spent a lot of time learning all about key signatures and modes and scales and all those things, how to chart different instruments. And those are the tools that I use every day with Dream Theater as a songwriter, And the drums to me were secondary. I spent most of my high school years getting around the kit, and that's where I learned most of my drum stuff, and that was off of records and, learning off of different drummer styles. Starting off with the stuff like, John Bonham and Keith Moon, Ringo, all the little bit more classic rock stuff is what I started on. Then when I started to get more serious, I started discovering progressive music and drummers like Neil Peart and Bill Bruford and Simon Phillips and Terry Bozzio. And all throughout high school, I spent all my time listening to these different drummers and learning their parts. But what was very important to me was not only to learn what they were doing, but think about the reasons why they were doing what they were doing. I think if you were to analyze my playing, for instance, I don't think what I do is physically that hard. I think what I'm physically doing with my hands and feet is not that difficult. It's more of the mental process behind it and the thought process that goes into creating some of these patterns and polyrhythms and odd time signatures. And when I was developing as a young drummer, that's what I wanted to learn from other drummers. I would learn all of the Rush songs and learn exactly what Neil was doing, but more importantly, I would look at the song structure and look at the way he played, within the context of the song and how he developed his parts. And I only use him as an example. I did that with every drummer. We really, analyze their styles. So anyway, that's how my drumming part developed, and that's how my more music educational side developed.
Do you take lessons or anything, like studying snare drum rhythms and things like that?
No, I'm pretty much self-taught when it comes to the drums. With the help of Frank Zappa. Like I said, I just played along to the records. I spent a lot of time analyzing styles, and I taught myself how to read through that. Like for instance, I would, if I was listening to some Yes albums or whatever, and I wanted to learn about odd time signatures, I'd go get the Yes songbook, and even though it's geared towards guitar, usually those songbooks, I was able to look at the odd time signatures and look at the notation of the rhythms, and that's how I put two and two together, and I really dug into it and said, okay, wow, that's how 6/4 feels, and that's how 7/4 feels, and I would look at the rhythms and how they were written out, and I kind of taught myself, how to do that, and then I ended up joining stage band and marching band and everything in school, but that was more it wasn't that serious what they were offering in my high school. So I kind of had to dig into it myself.
You say you're going through 13, Mike?
11. What's that?
I think I missed it. But how long would you say it took you before your weaker hand at that point, weeks, months, years, whatever, became as strong, as fast, and as much control as your dominant hand at that point?
Well, of course, I'm still developing that. I mean,
Thank you.
but I don't know. I think it was like I said, when I started off at 11, I was listening to more simple stuff that was just getting around the kid. And when I started listening to these more progressive drummers, that's when I started to get really interested in developing styles and stuff. But I can't really pinpoint exactly when the evolution of my playing happened. It just sort of fell into place through time and practice, working with records and working with metronomes. And I worked out of books a little bit. I could definitely be better with my rudiments and my stick control if I had more of that type of training. So I don't know when, for instance, I lead with my right hand, so my left hand would be the weaker hand, or the same with my feet. I look at the feet as equal as the hands. But anyway, when I was developing, I would spend time just playing, doubles and singles with the left hand and just practicing, or I would practice grooves, switching the limbs rather than playing, the ride patterns with the right and the snare on the left. I would switch it around and play the ride patterns with the left and the snare on the right. And just try different things like that, different exercises to develop the different limbs as equally as possible.
What was it like working with Steve Howe?
Working with Steve Howe? Steve was great. We did, for those of you who don't know, we did a cover show in London in '95, and Steve joined us for this Yes medley. And it was funny because we put together the medley, and then he came down to rehearsals, and he didn't remember any of the songs. This is before he rejoined Yes. So John was teaching him, Machine Messiah and all these songs. But it was a lot of fun. Steve's great. I mean, to me, the biggest perk of being in the business is getting to know all of the people that you grew up admiring. I mean, we've played with Steve Howe, and speaking of Yes, I've gotten to know Bill Bruford really well through the years, and Alan White, and the guys we've jammed with all the guys from Iron Maiden, and the list goes on and on and on. All these people that we grew up respecting and admiring, now suddenly we're, doing albums with them, we're doing shows with them, we're clinics with them, and to me that's the most fun of it. Wait, the one thing about Steve I remember is that he kept asking John to turn down.
When you're running drum parts with Dream Theater, how did it come about? I mean, is it all you, or is the band just thinking, all right, maybe I could scratch there? How does that usually work?
Well, the drum part's all me. Nobody really ever tells me what to do. I have enough ideas as it is. But we work together. It's not like there's ever existing drum machine parts or anybody comes in with a song. It's not the way we write. We write together and bouncing ideas off of each other. A lot of the ideas do stem from the drums just because it's that type of rhythmical music, and my interest in odd time signatures and stuff really drive a lot of the songs. And I don't know, I mean, of course, I'm always open to suggestion, of course, but I never listened. If I ever listened, I would be playing in an AC/DC cover band. But the way that a lot of my drum parts are configured, not to be pushing my new video, but my new video, there's a whole thing in there about on the Dream Theater portion of that video, which shows about the way we chart stuff and how we remember our parts and how we work together. So there's a little bit of the songwriting aspect is touched on in that video.
How did you guys pull together the ideas for your latest Dream Theater album? Come up with ideas for scenes from memory?
Well, this album is the album I've always wanted the band to make. I've always wanted to do a concept album, and I've always wanted us to produce our own album as well without the outside input. I always felt that we had enough chefs in the kitchen as it was, that we didn't need that objective ear, although the other guys always disagreed with me, and that's why we always had a producer. But this time around, I really liked having that control. But As far as the concept goes, it stemmed, well, musically, we wrote a version of Metropolis Part 2 in '96 that didn't make Falling Into Infinity, and it was like a 20-minute version that we wrote in '96, and we knew that if we didn't include it with our next record, we'd be strung up by the fans. So we knew we had to have it on the new record. And once we made the change in keyboard players, we decided, well, we have to use Metropolis 2, but while we're starting with a fresh slate, wouldn't it be great to finally do the concept album we always wanted to do? So we said, okay, well, let's do a concept album, and we'll expand Metropolis into a full-length album, and that's where the idea came from. It actually stemmed during the second Liquid Tension Experiment sessions, and me and Joe Petrucci decided at that point it was going to be a concept album, it was going to be Metropolis, it was going to be Veil Secrecy, and it was going to be as progressive as possible. I mean, we had made those decisions in November of '98, and it's funny because Jordan was sitting right there while we were having this discussion and throwing ideas at each other and even putting some musical ideas together. And Jordan was sitting right there. Little did he know that he was going to end up being a part of the band and the making of the record. But anyway, that's where it originated, and the making of the whole record was really special because making our concept album, we were able to look at a big giant picture. It was like making a movie or writing a book. It wasn't like just writing a bunch of chapters or a bunch of commercials or singles. It was one big picture, and and it was a real challenge to work within those confines. But anyway, it was a lot of fun.
You did an awesome job.
Thank you. He said a boat. You can tell he's from Canada. I hear that all from James all day long.
And I go on the internet and all I can find is like their crappy stuff online here, it's like of like 16 little things from 16 to 32 little dashes on on their first video from concepts, actual 5-stack, and do anything about in the future plans or anything like that?
Well, in my new video, it doesn't come with a booklet, but they have at the very end of the second video, I know it's a lot to watch through these videos, but you can go to the Hudson Music website and they're going to have all the transcriptions available for downloading on their website. I haven't checked it yet. I haven't gone to the website, so I don't know what the hell's there. But we have talked about doing a book because I get asked about that all the time. And like I said, when I was growing up, I would go buy, the Rush book or the Zappa book or the Yes book, whatever. And it was always aimed at guitar players, but I would at least look at the time signatures and the rhythms and try to teach myself. So you can sort of do that with the Dream Theater songbooks that are out there. You can at least learn the time signatures and see some of the rhythms. A lot of what I do, John doubles on guitar, so you can see a lot of that stuff. But I would love for us to, do a transcription book. And the people that made the video had some music. We've been talking about it, so hopefully it'll happen.
Some of the songs, like stuff, I try to play along to it. Yeah, this one, and signs to remember those.
Well, like I was saying earlier, it's just as important to understand why I'm playing what I'm playing as opposed to what I'm playing. I mean, you could listen to Lines in the Sand or whatever and figure out exactly what I'm doing physically, but if you don't understand it in the context of the song, what time signature you're in and, the polyrhythm that's going on, if you don't understand those concepts, you're not going to really gain too much. It's real important to understand the mental side. And the transcription books will give it at least the angle of being able to analyze what's happening. So hopefully that'll help. A couple more.
About the new album, you mentioned earlier that there was a very technical part, that you mentioned Bernie was very technical, meticulous music writing process, and then you said that the band with Neil Horser is now is more songwriting. I don't know whether it was Jordan's influence on you or what, but writing a concept album, I noticed, especially opening something so traditional as an overture and mimicking and debuting all the themes of the rest of the concept in the beginning. Right. I think this is the pinnacle of your guys' writing. I think your songwriting was incredible. The songs were incredible. The musicianship
I'm blushing. Thank you. Well, Angle, I have to agree with you. I feel that we have reached a level here that we've always wanted to achieve, and I think a lot of that had to do with us having full control over our record without a producer involved, and also the labels really gave us a lot of control. With Falling Into Infinity, there was a lot of pressure to make a certain kind of record, but this time around, the record company just basically put us in the studio in February, and they didn't hear a single note until we delivered it in August, and that freedom really let us, do our thing. And you were talking about Jordan's influence. Jordan surely had a tremendous amount of influence in the music that came out, but we knew we wanted, like I said earlier, we knew we wanted to go this direction even before Jordan was in the band. It was John and I sitting on the couch during the LTE sessions, and we said that, we have to make this record. It has to be a full-blown concept album, completely progressive. And even, you mentioned the overture, that was actually part of the original 96 Metropolis.
I think it's great. It's like a very classical way of looking and showing an entire piece of music like it's given to us on the album in parts and sections.
The whole album is like that. There's constant foreshadowings and links to the past.
That's great. It's like the first things I heard was mimics the Metropolis. Just like shivers up the spine.
Thank you very much. We're looking forward to taking it on the road, which starts in January. We're going to be doing a U.S. tour with the Dixie Dregs opening for us, which is going to be amazing. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to bring the whole album to life from start to finish, which is going to be fun. One last question.
I was following on the Yeti Jam on the internet about how your shows over in Europe gradually included more and more songs from the new album as you're trying to put them all together. How do you feel as far as the band that with Jordan now you're fitting together for the live show? That is all five of you with me on the input.
Well, it's been it's been incredibly natural. It feels like Jordan has been in the band all along. Or at least it seems like he should have been, but it's strange. I mean, maybe a part of it is because he and myself and John had already done 2 albums together. So when we wrote this album, it was already a very natural feeling because we already had written 2 albums together. And then, the recording process was also very familiar. So the live element was the one, element that we hadn't really felt yet. And although we did do 1 show with him back in '94, but this was the first time we had really toured with him. And it felt incredibly natural. I mean, the guy is an absolute professional. He's a perfectionist. I mean, there's never a wrong note coming from stage right. I mean, it's just like perfect. And the guy it's amazing. And it's the ultimate Dream Theater lineup. This is the lineup that we wanted in '94 when Kevin had left the band. So it took a few years to get here, and that's not without no disrespect to Derek, but Jordan was the man that we wanted all along. And it just feels really natural, and those European shows that we just did last month were a good warm-up. I'm glad we got those under our belt before we start the full production. The whole purpose of those European shows was just to get comfortable with the new lineup, and we didn't play the whole album from start to finish. It was just more of just getting comfortable and tuning the engine back up, so we should be ready to rock in January. On that note, I'm going to play one last song for you, wrap things up, and then I'll be around afterwards if you want, some stuff signed or whatever, but I will be here for a little while more after I'm done. But thanks for coming out, and thank you to Tama and to Sabian and the people at McNeil for having me out. And, it's the last clinic of the millennium. Thank you for coming out. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy New Year, and we'll see you on tour in January. Available at the end of the clinic, by the way. Heavily people. Thanks for coming out. Give that round of 10 minutes or so. Let's hear it one more time for Mr. Mike Portnoy.